Good evening, I'm Ebony Brandon. Today is Thursday, 14th December 2017. This is the SKN News Now Evening Edition. In the headlines tonight, nationally, a St. Paul's youth has become the Federation's 23rd homicide victim. Internationally, North Korea's threat is high on the agenda of a South Korea-China talk. And in sport, Manchester United boss Jose Mourinho says defender Eric Bailly's ankle injury is serious. We've got the details of these stories, the weather, and Carib update all ahead in tonight's edition of SKN News Now. In his 20s from St. Paul's, St. Kitts has become the country's 23rd homicide victim after he was shot to death in Gingerland, Nevis this morning. The young man, who's not yet been identified by police, was in Hullground, Gingerland, visiting with his girlfriend. According to witnesses, at some time after 10 this morning, the couple were heading to a bus stop when gun-wielding attackers began chasing the victim. He collapsed not far away after being struck by bullets multiple times and was later pronounced dead by medical authorities. His girlfriend escaped the onslaught unharmed. The Brickkiln resident's death brings the number of homicides on Nevis for this year to a total of 9. With Carnival mere days away and the public saying they still aren't feeling the carnival spirit, Honorable Marcella Liebert says this is not surprising with the financial cuts being made, especially regarding the awards for participants. Although just weeks ago, Minister responsible for Carnival, Deputy Prime Minister Sean Richards, attempted to do damage control after the Carnival chairman Noah Mills said his budget had been slashed, the fact remains that cuts have been made. Among noticeable cuts this year is the All-Star Band, who have not been hired on to accompany Calypso semi-finalists on December 17th in the Senior Calypso category. This news came just 2 days after Chairman Mills told media that the band would be available for a practice session with the artists. It also came after the withdrawal of at least one artist, Fantastic Thunder, from the Soca Monarch competition after artists were informed that the band's backup singers would not be accompanying them. Together with the late payment of contractors and service providers, some of which SKN News Now has been able to confirm have not been paid in December 2017 for services rendered in 2016, the trend appears to support Chairman Mills' assertion that the Carnival budget has been reduced. According to Honorable Marcella Liebert, these sharp financial cuts to the annual festival are bound to have a negative impact.
You would see that the participants are getting less money to do their preparations. The amount has been reduced, sometimes to the extent of 50%. And so a lot of the participants are a little frustrated. They can't prepare properly. How would they expect them to perform properly when the monies given to them for preparation are being cut? We're having one Soca crown this year. One Soca crown. So no groovy winner and power winner as we're accustomed to. It's just one Soca crown, reducing the chances of our artists to be winners and to benefit financially and otherwise from winning. After putting so much into, creating songs and into performances, so much creativity, this is totally unacceptable. So certainly our artists are not being put first. Can't be those they're talking about. I mean, the Calypso show is one song now for semi-finals, but 2 for finals. So how does that help?
Ms. Liebert has also taken the position that persons managing the carnival need to be reevaluated with urgency, chief among them Chairman Noah Mills, as this is causing the public to withdraw their support from official carnival events.
Yet the minister seemed to have no problem with the chairman. Last year when he was asked about all the problems people are having with the chair, he said he didn't have any problem. Because it looked like it's all about him and not about the people. So the people are not being put first. You know how many people have told me that the people who chaired last year the various subcommittees are not coming back this year because of the total frustration that they're having with all of the chaos and confusion in Carnival created by the chairman. But the minister doesn't have a problem because it's all about him and probably the chairman. Those are being put first, not the people and the participants and the artists. And so what you have for this year Carnival really is that people are supporting the private events. The events by Inception and, Cooler Fete and all the other private events. And the Carnival events, fraught with chaos and confusion, and people not taking them on too much because of that. So it's a private events Carnival that we're going to have. So which people are they really looking after? Which people? Certainly not our artists. And in the process, our art form is suffering because our artists are suffering.
Meanwhile, Dr. Terence Drew says rather than taking cheap shots at him in the National Assembly, his political opponent, Honorable Eugene Hamilton's time would have been better spent addressing the concerns of the people of Constituency 8. According to Dr. Drew, a number of the people's concerns remain unanswered and unresolved, including residential electricity disconnections when persons in arrears were promised relief, and those persons still suffering the impact of damage to their homes caused by Hurricanes Irma and Maria.
3 years almost after the elections, and those arrears are still there. None other than the Honorable Eugene Hamilton went to the constituents of constituency number 8, from Atlees all the way to the great state of St. Peter's, and he told them that he would be part of a government that would remove the arrears on the electricity bills. Nothing of that sort would have happened. So instead of trying to call my name in Parliament, I wish he had taken that time to comfort those who would have to go through this Christmas season without electricity. Ain't got no fridge to store the chicken, no fridge to store the ham, no place to put the little ice cream. Can you imagine how much things they would have lost? And so I'm telling him, go to the constituents who you deceived and discuss with them about the electricity situation. The other thing he should have taken the time to address are the roofs in the constituency. Since the passage of those 2 major hurricanes, scores of people in the constituency continue to suffer from leaking roofs. People have tarpaulins on their roofs up to today, going into the Christmas with tarpaulins on their roofs. In this guava crop economy, we can't expect people to go replace roof. In addition to that, there are a lot of people in the constituency who can't even get a tarpaulin to put on their roof. And I gave the example at the press conference of Sobers from Keyon, whose roof was leaking, and Eugene Hamilton told him that he couldn't do anything to help him, not even get him a tarpaulin. That's all he needed.
Dr. Drew added that Mr. Hamilton should also have spoken about how he intends to address the unemployment and underemployment issue which continues to impact persons in the constituency.
One of the things that Eugene Hamilton is doing when it comes to job is to send a lot of women down to carry home to cook and clean. People who he promised good jobs for minimum wage. That is what he's doing. The other thing that they're doing is inviting a lot of people up to solid waste for interviews when they know that they're not going to give them any jobs. Just trying to get their information for election and political purposes. They know that. And while I'm on the solid waste issue, the solid waste has sent home a lot of people from the landfill in Connery. The people are hurting because they ensure that the people would not be able to get the full double salary. That is what they reported to me. They're not even inviting them to the dinner that they usually have at Christmas for the people in solid waste.
3 charges have been brought against Cleon Doe of Butler's Village by Her Majesty's Customs and Excise Department under the Customs Act. Cleon Dore was charged with importation of restricted goods, goods packed in a manner to deceive customs officers, and fraudulent declaration on December 1st, 2017, and is currently on $15,000 bail. Police are also carrying out their own investigations into this. On November 28th, members of the Task Force Unit and Crime Scene Unit from the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force, along with personnel from the Enforcement Department and K-9 Unit of Her Majesty's Customs and Excise Department, conducted a search operation at Long Point Port. The officers were in search of controlled drugs, firearms, ammunition, and other contraband. Several items were searched, including one yellow Mitsubishi Lancer motorcar that had arrived from St. Martin on board the MV Muddy's Pride. The exercise was conducted in the presence of the exporter of the car, Cleon Dore. The search of the car revealed 18 packages wrapped in black plastic with vegetable matter suspected to be cannabis. These packages were found in the trunk of the motorcar, which had been modified to deceive law enforcement officials. The weight of the packages combined was just under 65 pounds. And in other developments, the 2017 Climate Smart Sustainable Tourism Forum is currently underway in St. Kitts. It wraps up tomorrow. Ministry of Tourism officials in particular are welcoming the forum as the Caribbean this year felt the harsh effects of climate change with the passages of Hurricanes Irma and Maria. Recognizing the negative impact climate change can have on tourism, St. Kitts is doing its part to sustain its tourism product. At the opening ceremony of the forum on Monday, the positive transformative benefits of tourism on the local economy and livelihoods of persons was noted. On the other hand, it was also highlighted that this transformative impact can negatively affect a country's culture and communities, therefore the need to ensure that tourism is managed responsibly. The impact of some tourism-related activities on climate change was also underscored to further highlight the need for responsible tourism management, not only by government, but all involved stakeholders as part of a broader global response to the issue. Noting that tourism has far-reaching implications for several sectors, including agriculture, retail, manufacturing, construction, accommodations, attractions, entertainment, transportation, and others, it was also said that there must be a collective effort to reduce the environmental footprint of the diverse activities that relate to tourism. Additionally, the need for a coordinated approach to climate change and sea level rise integrated into existing policies of socio-economic development and environmental conservation policies in order to ensure sustainable development and sustainable tourism were highlighted. And finally, this evening, the 40th graduation ceremony of the Police Recruit Training Course number 41 took place at the Police Training School on Tuesday this week. The 34 men and women who successfully completed one of the longest training courses in the history of the police force transitioned from the status of recruit to full police officers. Among the highlights of the ceremony was the drills display in which the new officers completed a number of complex maneuvers. The top award went to Woman Constable Shatrisha Ephraim, who received the baton of honor from the Commissioner of Police, along with the Prime Minister's plaque and a trophy from Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris for being the most outstanding student. She also received awards for Best at Rifle Shooting, Best at Kit and Turnout, Best at Physical Training, and Best at Drills. Constable Akil Jones was also awarded for Best at Rifle Shooting, while Constable Elric Prentice won the award for Best at Pistol Shooting and Best at Weapon Training. The award for Best at Self-Defense went to Constable Emerson Archibald. Best at Police Subjects and Best at Evidence and Procedure was awarded to Constable Bentley Bissett, and Best Results in Final Exams was Constable Jensen Charles, who was also selected as the Most Improved Student. Meanwhile, Constable Kareem Romney was named the Most Disciplined Student. There was also an award for the Best Syndicate that went to 13 officers who comprised one of the two syndicates. According to Inspector Eldrin Dickinson, Commandant at the Police Training Complex, training courses normally run for 6 months. However, course number 41 actually lasted for 9 months as the training suffered several interruptions. The course was a combination of in-class and on-the-job training. The new officers also form a diverse group as the 34 graduates included nationals of Jamaica, Haiti, and Guyana. Stay with us, still to come in this evening's news presentation, international developments, sport and the weather. South Korea's President Moon Jae-in is in Beijing for a meeting with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping. The increasing threat from North Korea is high on the agenda following the latest launch of a new intercontinental ballistic missile last month. Kathy Novak has more.
It's a decades-old relationship that hit a bumpy patch. Moon Jae-in says his first visit to China as president will be an opportunity to mend fences.
The biggest goal and focus of my visit this time will be rebuilding mutual trust between South Korea and China.
China is South Korea's largest trading partner, and some businesses recently got a taste of what happens when Chinese customers stop spending. As North Korea ramped up its nuclear weapon and missile program, Seoul went ahead with the installation of the U.S. missile defense system known as THAAD, and China got extremely angry, seeing the system's powerful radars as a security threat. It retaliated with an unofficial boycott against tourism and businesses.
It was a very rude wake-up call for major corporations in South Korea that too much dependence upon Chinese economy, especially tourism with China, will not be a long-term solution.
Some have begun diversifying. This traditional Korean restaurant expanded its selection to include halal meat, attracting visitors from Southeast Asia and the Middle East.
We get customers from all over the world, including Africa and South America. Many of my customers are business people looking for halal food.
The South Korean government wants to expand cooperation with Southeast Asian countries, but China is unlikely to be replaced anytime soon.
China will remain for a long, long time South Korea's lifeline.
But this is hardly a one-way relationship. South Korea is one of China's top 3 trading partners. In October, the two countries put their differences over THAAD aside, effectively agreeing to disagree, going some way to restoring relations and allowing them to better address other common issues. Mainly the threat from North Korea, the other issue likely to be high on the agenda during Moon's visit. South Korea wants China to impose harsher sanctions against the government in Pyongyang. China prefers a proposal that would see South Korea and the United States scaling back joint military exercises in exchange for North Korea agreeing to freeze its nuclear weapons development. It will likely take much more than this summit to find agreement on that.
In Kenya, dozens of women have told Human Rights Watch (HRW) that they were gang raped during the recent presidential election campaigns. Some men made similar complaints against attackers often wearing police uniforms. Kenya's Inspector General of Police says the allegations are propaganda and lack evidence. Catherine Soy reports from Nairobi.
We are not identifying her for privacy reasons, but she shows us police and hospital documents she's held since August. She says she was raped by a man whose face is known to her at the height of Kenya's recent election tension in a Nairobi shanty town. She's one of 68 women from the city and Western Kenya who spoke to Human Rights Watch about their ordeal.
One held a knife to me. Then they took me to a bush, told me to take off my clothes. Then they beat me, and one raped me.
A report by the rights body says that while some women, like the one we interviewed, blamed criminal gangs, others accused security forces of carrying out the abuses.
We would like the government to create an independent judicial inquiry commission to look at the unlawful practices of the police around the election period, including any involvement in sexual violence.
About half of the women interviewed by Human Rights Watch said they were raped by men in uniform. Some did not report to the police or go to hospital because of fear and stigma.
In a statement to Al Jazeera, the Inspector General of Police dismissed part of the report accusing government forces as false, calling it despicable, full of propaganda, and lacks merit and evidence. Community workers say while rape in slums like this is common, they've received increased reports from women who say they were sexually violated between the August presidential election and the repeat poll in October.
People were just so emotional because of the politics. Gangs from different communities were attacking anyone, and particularly women. That's why there was an increase in rape cases in that period.
This survivor tells us her attacker was not a policeman, but a man who lives in her neighborhood and is still walking free. She's not hopeful that there'll ever be justice for her.
Still to come in this evening's edition of SKN News Now, sport, the weather, and Carib Update. Manchester United defender Eric Bailly may need surgery on a serious ankle injury. This is according to manager Jose Mourinho. The 23-year-old centre-back, who Mourinho said was injured while on international duty with the Ivory Coast, has not played for United since the defeated Chelsea on 5th November. He's not expected to miss the rest of the season. Mourinho said a conservative wait-and-see approach was being taken to Bailey's treatment, and if that yielded no results, a more aggressive approach, surgery, would be taken. Curtis Smalling and Phil Jones started Wednesday's 1-0 win over Bournemouth, and Mourinho said he was happy with his options at centre-back. He also added that the Reds had been plagued the entire season by problems with central defenders, but because the number is 4 or 5, they managed to always have players available. Bailey was the first player to sign on for United after Mourinho took over as manager, joining from Villarreal in the summer of 2016 for £30 million. And now for a look at this evening's weather forecast. Tonight over St. Kitts and Nevis, conditions will be fair to partly cloudy with a 10% or slight chance of showers. Seas are moderate with wave heights of 1.2 to 1.8 meters or 4 to 6 feet, increasing to around 2.1 meters or 7 feet overnight. A caution is in effect mainly for beachgoers against swells, particularly for the north and northeastern facing beaches. Winds are east to east-northeast, ranging between 12 and 16 miles per hour, with higher gusts over open waters. The sea level pressure is 1,016.9 millibars or 30.03 inches. The sun will rise tomorrow at 6:33 a.m. And that wraps up this evening's news presentation. We conclude in earnest with a recap of today's top stories. Nationally, a St. Paul's youth has become the Federation's 23rd homicide victim. Internationally, the North Korea threat is high on the agenda of South Korea-China talks. And in sport, Manchester United boss Jose Mourinho says defender Eric Bailly's ankle injury is serious. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. I've been your presenter, Ebony Brandon. Still to come in just a moment, Carib Update, followed by DJ Yardi. Goodbye.